Well, hello everyone. Here to show you the memory file studies. You say is homework research. You say is written down is talking about with size, and of course you got right here is the KT, and then of course MB is, and then GB, and then of course with TB XB and stuff like that. With with the K beam and then of course you got the size, and then the quality, and then of course with sound, and then of course with the thumbnail research. And of course, that I could probably think about is like if I were to explain maybe on the computer as I click it through the menus and stuff, the more likely I think that it may take a little bit more time. But other than that, with most people probably think about is to understand really about what I'm talking about. Of course, maybe experience it yourself, maybe. But other than that, a few things that maybe I would like to talk about. Of course, is to talk about right here is you got right here is the e-reader, and then of course you have right here is a memory card, and that fits into, of course, into the NUC. It's like you'd say the e-reader it is, and main BIOS you say the PNY, the pianist. I guess it's pronounced PNY it is, but anyway you have the memory stick unit right here, and if you were to say maybe do your research homework, just say on the laptop or whatever, that knowing about is about 16 gigabytes it would be. So a lot of time people probably think about that, knowing about it's like back then those couple of years ago, back in like 1973 it was, is knowing about that how big that was. It's like knowing about about the size of a TV or something like that, one of those big 31 or 32 inch big screen TVs it was, or something like that. But other than that knowing about is like with the memory size, and if most of us were to think about it, it's like go ahead and work with the different colored pens it is, but with the quality is like knowing about that is the fact about the different the certain the certain the quality of say of the picture it is. It's like say do the notes it is. If you were to do the study it is knowing about the picture quality, and of course with the sound. And I keep thinking about each time I were to do a video or any type of activity recording it is, and just knowing about the fact about it's like that that a lot of times you could probably think about is like that it uses up so much memory it is. If it, a lot of times whenever I read the files it says something like 53.62 something like that megabytes it is, and people are thinking about it is like knowing about. It's like if you do the research, it's like you can say write down a shirt, whatever it is. But other than that, it's talking about right there is that really to keep in mind is knowing about that if you were only allowed maybe about 100 megabytes it was, then more likely you probably think about is that really about how long of a video recording you think that would be if we were to do say the math right, if we were to calculate about how much memory is equal to about 1 minute of recording. And I guess to say that depending on what devices that you're using it is, if it's what you call 50 at least 50 megabytes, I guess that if you divide that in half it is that the more likely you could probably think about 100 kilos, say kilobytes it is. For KB it is, I guess maybe I would guess about maybe 200 or so kilobytes. I guess it'll be a little bit smaller than a megabyte that they usually go by. It's like what you call 1 or 1002 or 1015 say kilobytes until it equals to a megabyte. And then they probably say that a lot of times that usually uses up quite a bit of memory. And but I'm like, I've been working with this stuff for quite a long time now, and just knowing about it's like the fact about with the NUC right here is knowing about that if you were to connect it to the Wi-Fi or anything like that, is just knowing about the amount of memory it's using. Just to plug it in, and of course to turn it on, and of course to pull up books or something like that, is to know about how much memory. And then of course with the time right here is knowing about how much time that you have that you really want to spend on it, and trying to get it to work, and then say the time ticker it is. But other than that, if I put my reading glasses on, but other than that is that if we were to do our study, about how much memory it's using, and of course about knowing about what you can work with. And the way I think about it is like, really, I guess if all of us would maybe like to know about the memory size, so that way that if you were to record the way technology is, if you were to record something on like a memory unit, it is knowing about how long the clip is for, and then of course the reason for it, about how important it is, of course, to have it on like what you call a site like what you call, if you would put on a Facebook or Weather Channel or anything like that, if you want to share it, and or just maybe keep it around. That I can remember that back in the old days, like back in 1995, it was early 1900s. It is. They had these cassette tapes right here. A lot of us probably think about back then that you didn't really have to worry about. It's like what you call, for the size carrier, it is knowing about. It's like for non-supporting or supported files, it is. But on the other hand too, if we can all think about, is like really have a pen, use a pen as like what you call as an example. It's like what you call as pick your choice. Is if you have more control over the fact about whenever you make a video, if you have more control over the fact about how the switches and buttons work and stuff, and of course about whenever if you were to record a video clip, it is just knowing about you have more control over the fact about whenever it's on record, that after you rewind it, and knowing about, people probably think about it kind of eliminates the need for for what you call for rewinding or anything like that. Is that if you want to rewind the tape, push the button, and of course if there's a part of the video where you want to see a certain part of the video, it is, and of course you go by stop, rewind, and stop, fast forward, rewind, or whatever. But like on digital technology, a lot of times that you can you can go ahead and stop the tape, and if you want to go to another video clip, you just click on the button, say the options, go to the options to be able to go to the next video clip, which they say that they are automatically saved. With like digital technology, it is that they would automatically be saved onto a file. File will be created. It is auto save. But other than that, we ought to know about, if we're going to go from what you call is like from this VHS or any type of digital recorder, from like what you call VHS or 8-track or whatever recorder it is known, and going to digital. And then I know with technology nowadays, they have it to where it's like, of course you can buy memory online. It is, and it's like shop online. And I can remember that the very first time I think I shopped online, I think was buying what you call internet security was, and then just thinking about whenever you shop online, that of course they say that really at the time it just seems like really a credit card payment is like knowing about whenever that they were to ask for any type of payment, it's like what's the password. It's like you can't move on to the next step until you provide what you call a payment, payment by cash or something like that, that they would usually ask for any type of payment, it is. But on the other end too, that knowing about is that if you were to shop online, the way I think about it is like, go through the process of downloading. Click download file. A lot of people probably don't even really want to spend time with this either. Download file, it is. If you were to click on download file, and then of course if there's any type of firewall, through the Windows security, it is. But anyway, that if we were to do our homework, then more likely maybe we would kind of understand a little bit about how it works. But I would maybe suggest that they go ahead and maybe think about is like maybe do some research, taking some extra time to study about how it works, because on the other hand too, that knowing about that, more likely that we may not have control over whatever that we would like to do so far as technology goes, about how it changes, and of course about how it's handled and stuff. But then on the other hand too, that knowing about is that maybe that more likely that maybe there would be something that we can learn more about. I guess there's really always something to learn, ain't there? There's always something to learn about the fact of it, if it's a TV or if it's a VCR or if it's any other type of electronic device. It is calculator, the same thing. Calculator, a lot of people probably think about what's the next step so far in technology is talk about with calculators, and that knowing about this, like right here, it's like other than graphing, that you probably think that yeah, with the calculator. With the calculator, more likely that there may be a way that you can maybe pull up what you say, a little screen right here, and you could pull up what you call it's like a little digital technology, digital remastered, say, encyclopedia, to where you can put your fingers right here, and then of course you can move if you want to explore, would you say, the Amazon rainforest. It's like some parts of, say, South Africa, or maybe parts of Europe or wherever. And, there would be like a little map that would come out, and you'll be able to work the controls, up, down, left, right, say, type controls. But other than that, it's like talking about school supplies. Before talking about maybe the fact about companies that get involved with the technology about school supplies. Back nearly 20 years ago, of course, you probably think about that school supply shopping usually was boring, huh? Well, now it seems like it gets a little bit more exciting, other than what you call it, other than for Google Glass or whatever you want to call it, that they're knowing about, is that they have like maybe a type of glasses, right? A type of glasses to where that that they go on your face, but then of course you won't have to worry about these arms anymore. That knowing the fact that that they get their what you call their grip, just by like knowing about that you got these little maybe these little stick-ons, I guess you say. They have like maybe electronic stick-on where they can go on your face. It is, and just knowing about that, how exactly knowing about just your vision when however that you would like to read the letters it is. But other than that, so far as talk about with technology is talk about, we say, is the studies about if we were to do the math right, is knowing about what is using up the most memory, and then of course is talk about creating, and of course sending files, you say, online it is. But other than that, I guess you say that there's always something to learn, but I guess you can't really promise that there's always going to be something to love. But on your hand too, to knowing about, it's like for the best of luck. But other than that, it's talking about is for the memory file studies.